Today we've got a ton of new information on Starfield in form of a dev Q&A on the official Bethesda Discord server. Lead quest designer Will and lead designer Emil took some time off their busy schedule and dished out some really great stuff. Just as a small heads up, there could be some minor story spoilers, so go ahead and check out the video chapters for all of the 16 questions that were answered by the two devs. Feel free to jump around between them or to skip those which might hold some information you want to avoid before launch. For all the good stuff around Starfield right before and after launch, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to never miss a video. Now let's jump right into it. One burning question of the community was, can we buy houses or property in main cities? And that's a really good one. I bet everyone wants to know if you can own your own condo or house and if you can live in one of the major cities or maybe all of them. And I'm really happy that Will and Emil can confirm that. Yep, there's housing in different cities that the player can get. Some you have to purchase and some are rewards for specific quests. And Emil says, sure can. You can purchase a dwelling in all the major cities in the game, and there's at least one that you get specifically for completing something. That's really great to hear, and I'm really excited about my new condo on one or many of the planets. Question number 2 is, if we get the kid stuff trait, will our parents be generated based on our character's looks, or are there standard parents put in place? What benefits might there be? For all of you who don't know what the kid stuff trait will do, it basically means that you have the ability to visit your alive parents, although 2% of all your money or earnings will be sent directly to them. It isn't all for nothing because this opens possible dialogue options and even some special events or quests in-game. So it would be rather cool if they're based off of your character's looks, and Will and Emil can confirm that. Our programmers on our new face tag were excited to make a function that could try to match your custom face and then create the two parents. So they will be based on what your character looks like, and they also had some similar tech in their previous games. And Emil says, yes, totally, just as we did in Fallout 3 with our dad and in Fallout 4 with your son. In Starfield, if you take the kid stuff trait, your parents are based off of you. No spoilers, but he thinks fans will really appreciate the actors they got to play those roles. He also mentions that you can get some stuff. Of course, kid stuff probably. Let's head over to the next question, and I think this is one that concerns a lot of people, because for those of us who have never played a BGS game and will be starting with Starfield, what information should we know that will make the experience more impactful right from the start? How deep should we go into creating our character's backstory before we start the game? And of course, the devs go on and explain that the game will be for everyone, new and old players alike, and everyone will be starting at the same point. But from there on out, it's your own experience. You can practically choose whatever backstory you want, or even decide to choose an anonymous background without any traits, if that's right up your alley. Bethesda Game Studio games are always about you, your journey, and the world you live in, or the universe they created for you to live in. So do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, at your own pace, and you'll be experiencing the game to its fullest. Basically, Bethesda is handing you a piece of paper and a pen, and it's your story to write. Next up, there's a question I found really interesting. How will the smuggling cargo system work? Can we hide it somewhere on the ship and sell it for more currency later? I really love the fantasy of being a space pirate, so that's right up my sleeve. And Will answers with, certain items are considered contraband and you'll need to smuggle them past security ships that are in orbit of major settlements. And Emil adds, yes, you can hide them using special ship modules you can purchase. So, don't get caught with those harvested organs, smiley face. And even though the economy is fixed, prices of your goods can vary depending on the skills you choose. Even though this is not exactly the answer I was hoping for, I'm still very excited about ripping off some freighters in space right around early access launch on September 1st. But now let's head over to question number 5. Will there be a jail system if we committed crimes? And of course, you can elect to go to jail or pay a fine when you're arrested, or even resist arrest and try to escape, and that's really cool. I'm really curious to see high-octane chases with the authorities in space, and I can't wait to experience that myself. Email ads, there's civilization, there's government, and there are laws, and in a couple cases we actually explore the themes of crime and punishment in our futuristic universe. So to me that sounds like there will be some quests that will put you right on the spot, where you have to decide whether to go to jail or pay a fine or try to escape. Good stuff. Next up, will time pass when not in-game? For example, will my trade routes, outposts and mining operations continue to produce, or does that only occur while actively playing? And the answer is pretty short and simple. The sim only runs when you're actively playing, no sleeping on the job. So also no FOMO, that's good stuff. A bunch of users were asking an intriguing question: can you be a double agent in the game? For example, if you join the United Colonies, can you also join the Crimson Fleet and give the United Colonies information? And what factions have that feature if they do? That's really cool, and the answers of Will and Emil get me really excited because all of the playable factions can be completed independently, and Emil says that's exactly what you can do. Infiltrate the Crimson Fleet for UC SysDev. It's specific to that questline. Will adds, the Crimson Fleet storyline does feature you being an undercover agent inside the fleet on behalf of UC SysDev, a specific military branch of the United Colonies, but whether you betray the fleet or UC SysDev is a choice you will get to make. So really good undercover stuff here, and some pretty hefty decisions on your side. I like that a lot, and Emil adds that this particular plotline was very much inspired by the movie Donnie Brasco, which probably most of the older viewers here on this channel still know and love. And I know the next question will concern many of you because the users wanted to know if it's possible to play through the game in a pacifist mode, for example without killing anyone or even potentially anything. But I have some bad news for you here, because Emil says that they realized pretty early on in production that for various reasons that wasn't totally feasible. But in most of the cases they still have some very good options for you. For example, the speech challenge game, where you can persuade someone to do something like, for example, not to fight you. And there are some other good non-lethal options, whether it be dialogue options or choosing non-lethal weapons for combat. Emil goes ahead and adds, the settled systems is mostly civilized, but it can be a dangerous place if you're going off the beaten path, and you're absolutely going off the beaten path. So he couldn't comfortably say that you can complete the entire game without any killing whatsoever. The next question is about some lore in the game, because users wanted to know what are the beliefs and basic history of the religions we can join, like Sanctum, Universum, Enlightened and Great Serpent. I'll go over this very briefly. The Sanctum Universum members are called Universals, and they believe that God is somewhere out there in the universe, and our Grav Jump is our way of finding or getting closer to God. The Enlightened is an atheist group that focus on community and humanitarian work, so they believe that if we want to make the world a better place, we'll have to do it ourselves, and every person takes responsibility. And House Varun, those are the believers of the Great Serpent, are a big mystery. Nobody knows what's the real truth about it, but legend has it that a passenger of a colony ship has met a celestial entity during one of their grav jumps. And he basically brought back a mandate which said, get on board or be devoured when the Great Serpent encircles the universe. Nobody knows if that's true, and the devs won't spoil it. So in the game you sometimes face off against House Varun Zealots as an enemy group, and that's their motivation. Emil adds that he recently also got the House Varun logo tattooed on his wrist, so he obviously has some kind of deeper connection to them, and I'm really curious what's up with them. And the next question I really liked a lot, or actually the answers, because the question was how many companions total will we be able to recruit? And according to Will and Emil, there are over 20 companions or named characters who can join your crew. Obviously, 4 of them are the main constellation companions, which have the most story and interaction with the player, but all of the named characters have their own backgrounds and can follow you around and even carry your stuff and come with specialized perks. Emil specifies, when we first began Starfield pre-production, we looked back at our previous games and realized how popular and effective the companions were. So they were a big priority for us, and we really wanted to tie them directly to the main quest. There are some really big moments with them specifically. I should also mention that our companion voice cast is amazing. We haven't released the list yet, but you can be sure that there are a lot of talented actors bringing those characters to life. Same for Constellation in general. And I have to say that gets me really excited because I'm really looking forward to recruiting those companions and putting them to work on my outposts or even having some backup on my missions. And that ties directly into question number 11. When we assign crew members to work at outposts, do we have to pay them salaries? And the answer is short but sweet, you will have to pay them once. They actually experimented with paying them regular salaries, but ultimately decided just to have the one cost up front. The reasoning behind that is that there's a lot to do in Starfield and they wanted to minimize what the player had to constantly keep track of. But the questions about companions go on. Will our companions be able to level up their perks? Will their perks stack with ours? That's a great question, and the answer is also pretty good. All crew starts with a set of skills at specific ranks. They don't level up, but they come at different ranks depending on the companion. So you might meet a character that's especially good at rifles and you hire them to watch your back, or you might meet an astrodynamics expert that will increase your graph jump range when assigned to your ship. And of course, the skills do stack with yours when relevant. Some are there for flavor to highlight the companion's backgrounds and interests, but you'll really feel the benefit of the ship and combat related ones. Getting a boost to your shields or seeing your companion laying down fire with a weapon they're proficient in are pretty sweet moments according to the devs. Next, people wanted to know which part of the game is their favorite, and of course the answers are pretty obvious. They both did really enjoy to see all the quests and cities and all the details in the game evolve over time and coming together to this big final product that it is now, which will be releasing in just a few weeks. Emil also adds, I have a real soft spot for Neon. Getting that city nailed down took a lot of work by a lot of different people, and the result is really the cyberpunk settlement I always hoped it would be. And that, to me personally, brings a lot of joy because when they showed off their first concept arts, Neon was the city that intrigued me the most, as I have a really soft spot for everything cyberpunk, and I'm really happy that they are happy with what they've accomplished, and I can't wait to experience it on my own. Let me know in the comments down below, which city are you looking forward the most? I'm really curious about that. Another great question was what books or movies had a big influence on some of the quests, and Will says that he's a big history nerd, so he actually also listens to a lot of podcasts like Hardcore History and the History of Rome, and that has influenced his views on about how human beings react to extreme circumstances like war, famine, and technological breakthroughs. Emil says he's from the older generation, so late 70s and early 80s, and of course his influences were Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Ice Pirates, but also films like Contact, Interstellar, Space Odyssey, and even Event Horizon. But in all of those examples, he realized that outer space is two things. One, a source of mystery and wonder, and sometimes terror, and second, a giant blank page on which you can write any story. And they have written a lot of very different stories in Starfield, he says. The devs also got asked what their favorite small details in Starfield are and which particularly add to the immersion. And of course, Will brings up all the outfits. You can see all the seams and the materials that were used, especially on the spacesuits. And also, Constellation members will have patches on their spacesuits which reflect the skills they have, which is pretty cool, I think. And Emil adds that all the books that are lying around and the notes on the bulletin boards and all the environmental storytelling is what brings the world to life. But of course, he also loves the work from their voice actors and the music and the sound effects and all the clothes and all that good stuff, and they also love their buttons. There will be a lot of buttons. Which brings us to the last question of the Q&A, which is a really intriguing one. What is the history of the Mechs? And Emil goes ahead and answers, oh, the Mechs, good one. So we showed this a bit in one of the animated shorts. Go ahead and check those out if you haven't already seen them. Those are really cool 2-minute story lore tidbits on the official Bethesda YouTube channel. The Mechs are leftovers from the colony wars. Both sides, United Colonies and Freestar Collective, had Mechs, but the Freestar Collective really mastered them. The United Colonies had Mechs too, but they also relied on the controlled alien beasts from their Xeno-warfare division. Both of those were outlawed with the armistice that ended the colony war. I'm not saying there's an old mech battleground in the game. I'm typing it. So that's a really big teaser. Take it with a grain of salt, but I believe we will be at least traveling to the mech battleground, if not be able to, I don't know, command or steer a mech ourselves. We'll see. But that's it for the Q&A, and I think there was a lot of cool information. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to see that format coming back again. But nonetheless, it finally gets me really excited for Starfield. I mean, we're only a few weeks away from early access launch, and there hasn't been much information on Starfield, nor has there been any really marketing campaign or anything at all to get all the people, me included, really hyped for the game. So I really hope that ramps up for the last few weeks up until release, and I hope to see more trailers, get more information and a decent marketing campaign before launch. And I really think this Q&A was a good starting point. So if you want to stay up to date with all things Starfield, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I wish you all an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one.